I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
And a child shall lead them.
So buy our merch.
To buy how much?
All right, we are doing a fire stream for the big homie Mike. He is DJing the whole night. That's a live stream where someone wants to show us a few of their songs, a small bit of their collection that they've gotten over the years.
Crew.
Yes. So Mike is sharing those songs with us. Sadly, we are on the last song of his list. Definitely there will be some more from his list that I'm going to go back and listen to tonight. But in the meantime, we're going to do Shadows Fall, King of Nothing, which I do not believe. We've never heard Shadows Fall before, have we?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this could be a new one, unless there's something I'm not thinking about. So,
I'm really liking these.
Right,
I'm really liking these DJ streams from these guys.
Oh, I know, it's so fun.
It also gives you a little
idea of what they're like
of the person. So like now I'm like, oh, I got my tagged hair.
I'll tell you what it's done for me. Before we were reacting to songs and then we'd put the videos out for everybody. Sometimes, we'd live it, but doing it this way, it feels more like it is a circle of friends. And that we're not just like reactors that are like over here reacting for you guys, but that we are part of it and we're all reacting. It just so happens we're on camera.
Yeah, if you look at the Patreon thing, it talks about like the human experience and all the rest of it. And that was always kind of like when I decided we're going to continuously do the channel, because it was originally it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
But once you start to see, like, it provides a window into the soul of the person.
Yeah.
But when you do them like back to back to back, it really is kind of cool to be able to be like, holy shit, man. Like, okay, that's what this guy's on. All right. Yep. So not just DJ Mike, everybody that's been doing these fire streams, man. We're really cool.
The Lone
really
Ranger
cool.
was a fun one too.
Yeah. Tony, shout out to Tony Lone Ranger.
All right, ready?
Okay. So
here we go, Mike. Are you ready?
This is Shadows Fall, last song of the night. I know all of us are a little bit sad, a little bit emotional, but let's have fun, guys. Let's go. Shadows Fall,
There
King
will
of
be
Nothing.
more.
This better be heavy, bro. Hit the lyrics. got. Serve what you got. My hands around your throat. You can't pretend all that you want. Lost in the pain with all of the evil you brought. I am the king of nothing. One more emptiness of rain. Drown the sorrow. Wash away the pain. I am the king of nothing. One more emptiness of rain. Drown the sorrow. Wash away the pain. What you got? My hands around your throat. You can't pretend all that you want. Lost in the pain with all of the evil you brought. I am the king of nothing. One more emptiness of rain. Drown the sorrow. Wash away the pain. I am the king of nothing. One more emptiness of rain. Drown the sorrow. Wash away the pain. Quit your fucking crying. Quit your fucking crying. Quit your fucking crying. Quit your fucking crying.
That was fun.
Quit your crying. Shout out to Peter Steele.
Yeah. What? Why?
We love Peter Steele over here.
Why shout out to Peter Steele?
Steve Bucker. He's like, do you hate Peter Steele? Do you have a little bad complex? Do you hate Peter Steele?
What?
Like, what are you talking about? Peter Steele's like one of our favorite people in the thing.
Yeah.
He must have just seen the Forgive Her.
But maybe.
Forgive Her. That's for the OG villagers.
I know. Somebody said it in
Tina
the
Banks
stream.
in the house.
Tina. Oh.
Nah, man, we love we salute the king over here.
Mm-hmm.
But that forgive her thing was forgive her. Forgive her.
Forgive her.
Forgive her.
The eyes.
I like the lifting.
Yeah, I like the eyes.
Oh, we got Kel in the house.
All stretched out. Okay.
We got Kel in the house. We got, well, of course, Pete goes.
I know. He's
Webb
gonna.
goes, Peter Steele is dead. Your favorite person is dead, Finn. What about the living? Well, Peter Steele was a Christian. Didn't you hear him in that song, Ben? He said, I'm a Christian. So he's not dead.
So there's that.
God is a God of the living, not the dead. So Peter Steele is not dead. He's just asleep with his Lord, inshallah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was gone before you ever had a chance.
Well, hold on. Did you get a little bit of a Metallica vibe with the vocalist?
Oh. I don't know. I got a little bit of excitement vibe.
Like Justice for All era James Hetfield is what this
Yeah, I can kind of throw in with you on that.
Sounds like
Yeah.
Justice for All level. Sure. Okay, so go ahead. What did you like about the song?
It was fun, and it had a certain level of what felt like pettiness to it that I like.
You like when people are small, huh?
Yes, it's very entertaining.
Kel says more
Okay,
Pantera than Metallica.
but-
Kel's probably right.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that too. Okay, so before, yes, I do like a bit of pettiness, but then when I started finding myself becoming a petty person, it wasn't funny to be petty. It's just funny to see petty.
I was having a conversation with someone. I said, God bless you. I'm going to let you have the last word because you need it. And I was being 1,000% sincere. I was being 1,000% sincere.
Yeah, well,
Because as I was talking, it became clear to me this guy, he needs this today. Because you don't know what kind of day people are having.
yeah.
You know, people, when you get in a conflict with somebody, you're only thinking about yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like the general you. You only think about yourself, but you're not thinking about, okay, well, what about the other person? Why choose this random day to bring this up? Obviously, something's going on that, you know, whatever. And so, you know, if you know, and it only happens like once a year with me, but if you like have the ability to see past what the person is saying and try to think about what's happening with them, then you adjust accordingly. But, you know me, a lot of times I just like to...
Yeah, but if you're gonna... I guess with that thought process, yeah, I hear what you're saying, except why say, I'm gonna give you the last word, you need it?
Because I do think it's important for people to understand, hey, wait a second here, what's going on with me? Because when you're considering what's going on in another person's mind, you're doing that, but the chances are that that person isn't doing that.
Absolutely.
So you want to leave them with something that makes them say, yeah, why do I have to at this point? And why?
I'm not sure if that is going to work the way you think it's
going
to work.
Well, look, it's not my job like to get the other person to not be petty. It's my job to not be petty.
Right. Exactly.
So it's not my job. Like, it's not my job to make the person do the right thing, but it's my job to at least encourage people in that direction.
Right.
And just because somebody doesn't like you doesn't mean that you get to, you know, you shouldn't do that to people, especially when they're in a situation they can't come back from, and this person is a situation, you know, that he can't come back from, and he has to see, you know, the whatever. So it's not like being the bigger person is not about like necessarily being a nicer person as much as it is.
That's true.
Do you want to get caught in that cycle of bullshit?
Well, yeah, you're right. I think the bigger person considers themselves and the other person.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking about how they feel about it.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, and when you do that and you find the mutual humanity, then you're not angry. Like that person, I'm sure, was thinking about me for the rest of the day.
Oh, I'm sure.
I forgot they existed. So you have to, you know, that's my strategy. But here, like, this is like that shadow self. This is a shadow self where you have that kind of... Yeah. You have that kind of energy where you're like, you're not going to be the bigger person. You're about to, you know... And I get it. I mean, there's times I'm like, I wasn't the bigger person initially in the conversation, and then God started saying, hey man, why do you think this is happening right now? Blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know what happened specifically that day. I just knew something happened with him, and I needed to stop talking to him because it wasn't good for him, and it was not going to be good for, you know, homegirl. So that's the other thing. You also have to think about what the effect it's going to have on other people as well. Yep. So it was gone before you ever had a chance, lost forever in your disapproving glance. I see your face, it's twisted with shock, falling from grace. You deserve what you got. The ice surrounds you now, you can pretend all you want. I've seen the pain and all the evil you brought. Quit your fucking crying and swallow your pills. You're not the only one with the urge to kill. Grab the dusty bottle, let the liquor spill. Devoid of life, death is your final thrill. Bloodshot eyes, you see, this is really interesting. So this is talking about the other side of addiction, right? Because we talked about the Leafy song was talking about alcohol. This is one of the reasons I love when one person can do like 5 or 6 songs, because even on a subconscious level, you get a sort of thematic understanding.
Absolutely.
And, you know, to Kellendras's point, like, yeah, he had a good variation of bands and songs, but at the same time, there is a little bit of a running theme here.
Yeah.
So previous to that, we saw the alcoholism. We saw from the side of the alcoholic who wants to disappear and all the rest of it. And we saw that person is in a hell of a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But now the alcohol is creating the new pain. So the alcohol initially was there to deal with the previous pain, and then it did to a degree.
But then it didn't.
But then it created a new set of problems that the alcohol then had to fix. Now in this song, this is the other side of addiction where you're ruining everybody's life around you and people are legit angry at you. And so it... You know, I talked about earlier, I said, yeah, you know, you're alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. There's no judgments. We don't have any, you know, I don't have any judgments for you. So like that that's the issue. It's like, okay, we don't have any judgments for you. But on the other side of that is this situation where it's like, well, yeah, it's easy for you to say because you don't have somebody that's pilling and drinking and wreaking absolute havoc in your life. So it's easy for you to look at a camera and say, hey, we're not judging you. But what about the people that are actually, because I there's nobody in my circumference right now that's ruining my life with alcoholism or pills or whatever. So it's easier for me to look in the camera and say, hey, man, I don't judge you. But what about people in this situation? And so, like, this is one of the things that we have to reconcile as human beings. It's like, we look at our own pain as, like, the primary pain.
Yeah.
You know, like my buddy, my famous Catholic friend, Tucker Carlson is saying the NSA is spying on him. And my friend goes, none has suffered as Tucker Carlson has suffered. So it's like that's, but that we're like that though. It's like none has suffered like I have suffered. And so a lot of times when you're in pain, people use their pain as justification for anything and everything. And people you just have to understand that you ended up addicted 98% probably because of some painful, horrible situation. We understand. Nobody wakes up and goes, I'm going to fuck up my life today. We understand that. But conversely, though, you are fucking people's lives up.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
And the people around you are paying a heavy fucking price, man. And it's the reason I'm much more inclined to look in a camera and say, hey, I don't have any judgments for you. It's not because like I minimize alcoholism or anything like that. I grew up with people that had struggled with bouts of alcohol and we paid the price for it. You know, it's one of the reasons we moved around so much. It was so normal to me that I didn't even know that there was a thing called alcoholism. I just thought that was just, I was like, holy shit, he's probably an alcoholic, you know? But I mean, honestly, he got through it. And he basically pulled the Ben Webb and he basically stopped on his own power, basically.
Wow.
He just stopped. So shout out to the homie. But, like, I'm much more comfortable looking at a camera and saying we don't judge you than looking at the camera and saying we judge you because I know there's so many
They're
factors.
getting enough judgment.
Right, correct. They're getting enough judgment. There's so many factors. And, you know, you have to take responsibility for the fact that for whatever reason, people take what you say, right, with some level of weight to it. And so I don't want to lazily ever say something about it. Like one person, I'm not going to mention the person's name, and we're cool now, and I'm glad that she was patient with me. Well, one person was like, yo, I hate Vin, I'll never talk to him again, blah, blah, blah. And you know me, I was like, whatever. But she said something about, you know, you made the, you know, statement abortion's always murder or something like that. And she had been assaulted. And so she made a very difficult decision. And we're never, ever going to compromise on that, ever. No, abortion is wrong, period. But it was a real cool opportunity because she gave me a second opportunity and she wrote out this big long thing about what happened. And I read it and it was so cool because Laura was like, man, just shut up. Don't say anything. Just read it and listen to her. Don't say anything. Like everybody feels like you have to respond all the time, especially a person like me. I get kind of trapped because that's a persona. And so I messaged her. I said, I read what you said. I just want to. I'm not gonna rush a response because I'm trying to. And I actually really never truly got back to her and said what I wanted to say. But we talk all the time. And she's a major contributor over at MA, and like so. The way that you talk to people, like you can engage something and still hold to your principles without saying it in the most judgmental way possible that leaves no room for redemption for a person or puts them in a situation where they're hearing all these horrible things about themselves and there's no way of coming back from it. And so that was a really, really important lesson. And since then, I've been very, very circumspect about how I describe that action. Yeah. And it's specifically because of her. So I'm more inclined to say general things that are positive in the camera than negative because, you know, I don't want
It's to a wide audience.
But at the same time, if you have to feel the pain here in this song, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen the pain and all the evil you brought. Quit your fucking crying and swallow all your pills. You're not the only one with the urge to kill. Mm-hmm. Grab the dusty bottle, let the liquor spill. Devoid of life, death is your final thrill. Bloodshot eyes can see right through the selfish lies. Search forever for a fix that keeps you high. So, like, this guy sounds like an absolute judgmental bastard here, right? Like, he's just straight judging this guy. Judging him. But holy shit.
But it's coming from a place of pain, I think. You know? This person has gone through it with this other person, and so it's hard. And then I think sometimes it can kind of put you in this place where you're like, you know, where he said, you're not the only one with the urge to kill. Like, I think he's communicating, look, everybody's going through something, so you can't always be the one on the table all the time. Like, you have to pick up and care for other people as well. And so I think when you're with someone in a relationship, or if it's someone in your family or a friend, and that person is constantly the one that everybody's helping, they're always the one that has a problem, every day is bad, everything is negative, and there are two ways of looking at lots of situations.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with
and
that.
And it really depends on how you're going to look at it that is going to dictate to you the outcome of your day. So, you know, the only random example I can think of is probably not one that pertains to anybody on the channel, but it's what's in my head. So when I never liked rainy days when I was a kid. They always made me feel really depressed. And so every time I would always quote, April showers bring May flowers, whenever it was raining. And I would try to enjoy the rain for what it was and think of when I possibly would grow up and meet the perfect man and kiss in the rain with him. And so I would think about all these things about the rain that would help me to feel happy about the rain. And I would think, you know, if the rain doesn't come today, then those flowers, I love the flowers, I love the greenery, and so all that grass needs the water. And so I would try to think about the positive things about it, and then it would change my view about it, and I'd be like, I'm okay. And lots of other people around me were like, I friggin' hate the rain, it's so depressing, especially springtime in Maine. There's so much rain, and it's not pretty out yet, so it can be kind of a depressing environment, especially if you already struggle with depression. So
yeah,
you know, I just would create there are positives if you choose to look for them, but if you just want to see the negative is extremely easy to see. Sometimes you got to dig a little bit to find the positivity or the, you know, but if you're always seeing the negative, you're always going to bring the negative, and you're always going to be that energy that keeps, you know, pulling people down and pulling yourself down. So you have to pick yourself up in a sense and start, you know, speaking positively to yourself. Part of, I think, a lot of our problem is that we have such negative self-talk that it drives people to things. So if you're saying all these negative things about yourself, you never measure up, you're this, you're that, you're everything else, then, you know, you can see how someone could get into something addictive because you're looking for an escape from your own voice.
100%.
So
100%. Yeah, and you know, this is, you know, I'm dealing with it right now with a lot of I'm part of this group of, you know, Christians who are trying to get a hearing about, you know, racial issues and all the rest of it. And there is a hell of a lot of resentment and just straight up anger and just plain just hate.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, man, I get it. But, you know, Jesus tells us to pray for our enemies. So Chauvin got sentenced, and I'm like, you know, I posted, hey, we need to pray for him that he meets God, because, you know, God says that he takes no delight in the death of the wicked.
Wow.
And the wicked should turn from their way and live. So that means A, God is not happy at people's destruction. B, God is happy when people come into the family. So I'm like, we should pray for those things that make God happy and pray against those things that upset him. And I understand they were caught up in the heat of the moment, said certain things of that nature. You're centering the perpetrator and the victim, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm not. When Jesus tells us to forgive, he's releasing us from the bondage of always thinking about that person over and over again. Because when you're consumed with this much hate like this guy has, I'm not going to say that he doesn't have the right, humanly speaking, to be that angry. But it's you got to ask yourself, okay, what are you accomplishing? What are you trying to accomplish? And sometimes you can become so hateful and bitter that you end up with that scorpion mentality that basically says, hey, I don't care if I live or die. Matter of fact, if I die, taking you down, that'll be enough. And now that person has effectively completely destroyed your life. They've completely overtaken you. They've won. Because if they can get you to kill them in your act of killing, you've essentially ended your own life. And so, you know, Jesus tells this parable of the unmerciful servant, and at the end of the parable, the unforgiving guy ends up in a prison.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Lewis says, and as, you know, our Eastern Orthodox friends say, that hell is essentially a door locked from the inside. Like, you chose to hang out in bitterness and rage and anger. So when, and bitterness, and that goes inside of you and picklifies your soul. And now you're just a sour, disgusting person who is as bad as the person that you're angry at. You know, I haven't had this conversation.
The same rope you can use it to climb up the side of a cliff and see amazing sights, or you can use it to make a noose. You decide what you're going to do with that rope.
Yeah. And you know, this is this conversation I haven't had, but this is a guy who, you know, did horrible things to kids or whatever. And you know, you're back and forth talking to him, and you find out that what happened to him, that happened to him when he was younger, but he stayed in that. He stayed in it. So when he did it to somebody, and you're like, yo, you just wounded somebody else. He said, I don't care. Nobody cared about me. I don't care. Like, I could just tell, like, this guy's completely lost it. He's lost his life.
Yeah.
He's lost his life because all that bitterness and anger only served to turn him into a more corrupted. It's the last look. That bitterness and that anger, that altercation that you had with that person, the bitterness and the anger and the temptation to hate them is the last blow that they struck you with. And so what Jesus is saying is, hey, how about you just don't internalize that so that they can beat you. How about you push that to the side so that you can go on with your life? But the other option is to take a burning coal and squeeze it as tight as you can. Because that's the deception of resentment and bitterness and vengeance and revenge is. And, you know, that's like the universal sign is the clenched fist. What they don't tell you is that inside the clenched fist is a burning coal. And the tighter you hold that fist, the more damage and scar tissue you're doing 100%. To your own soul, to the point where you run into somebody else and now they got to dig through 9 miles of scar tissue to get to who you are as a person. And you don't even know who you are anymore because you're completely consumed by your hatred of a person. So, like, I'm looking at these lyrics. I'm looking at these lyrics, and I'm like, yeah, bro, I've been through it to a degree, right? Like, I'm not gonna say I know exactly what this person is going through, but I mean, I had an entire summer where I had a particular person in my house. I would literally scrape them up off the floor every night because they would just OD on pills every night. And so, you didn't know if they're alive or dead. I used to poke them and be like, okay, they're moving, that's good. And then I'd pick them up. See, they had no idea how they got there. So in the daytime, me and this person were at war, and then at night I'd be picking them up and bringing them to that the entire summer. So alcohol, drug abuse, all those things, like, I grew up with them. But, you know, I thank God that, you know, he released me from all of that. And it was really that summer. That summer really changed a lot for me, like,
really?
Internally.
Yeah.
As far as how I approach people, how I interpret people.
This summer you spent like a bunch of time in HOH.
I was praying like I was probably 5 hours a day. I was probably praying for 5 hours a day. And then I got a lot of real crazy revelations in that time period. But yeah, it really changed how I handled, you know, revenge and all those types of situations. And I'm still me, right? So I was still trying to drill on those guys after that whole situation happened. So I'm by no means a person who's made it or arrived on the turn the other cheek. I'm pretty good about, like, forgiving people, but that's more because I'm selfish than anything. It's because I just know that if I don't forgive this person, they're going to be in my head the whole time, and I don't want them to be. I'd rather you be in my head the whole day than that person. So I'm pretty good about forgiving because, you know, I see the gain for myself in that. But as far as, like, random situations that I'm not prepared for, I'm obviously not very good at being Jesus in those situations.
Still some growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like got to this point, like with this bitterness level with somebody, and you'd always be like, well, you know, they have mental issues. I'm like so friggin' frustrated with you saying they have mental issues. Although, I mean, they do, so. You know what I mean? Like, but when I was super angry, every time you said that, I just want to blow a gasket. It was like, oh
Why?
my gosh.
Why?
Because it's like, yeah, but, you know, conveniently, they can accomplish the things they want to accomplish when it's really in their heart to do so.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like, all right, well, the mental issue didn't stop that person there and didn't stop them there either or over there. And that was extremely difficult. So I'm like,
yeah.
They just don't have the drive to do the other thing. And I just felt like you were just like on their side and not on mine. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, no,
Holy moly, guys, we're back.
Dang that Spectrum again.
Shout out to Spectrum. I want vengeance against Spectrum since we're on the theme of vengeance.
No, don't say that. Something will happen during the night and they'll come for you first.
Oh.
Well, the Spectrum lawyers. All right. Anyway, yeah. So let me pull back the lyrics. Here we go. Yeah. So anyway, that's how that situation made me feel. But I agree. Living in a bitterness and anger is.
I was on your side though.
I know that now.
Yeah.
I know that now, but I didn't feel it then. Because that's the other thing too. Angerness and bitter and all that, it really distorts your mind. Mm-hmm. Because you start seeing things differently. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
I think that there's an opposite. You know, like, well, I don't know how old people are, but the whole Pollyanna view where there's a reason and a purpose for everything, and everything can be happy if you just, you know, like people resent that sort of happy, clappy, everything has some sunshine in it. But the same, like, feeling that you get for someone who's, like, overly, like, perfect all the time in that it's like it doesn't seem real. The same thing is true of someone who has let themselves just get totally drowned in bitterness and anger. That person too has like that kind of film on them that people don't want to. Yeah, it's hard to be around.
Yeah, I understand that. You know, I understand that because, you know, to Brick's point. How does one learn where to draw the line between forgiveness and being taken advantage of? I have trouble with this. Yeah. Well, I think that's really actually a very important question.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Like, I want to drop the lump of coal because I don't want to continue damaging myself. So I'm going to forgive this person. But then how do I make it so that I don't get taken advantage of? Exactly. And I think the answer, that's a complex question with a simple solution. There's a difference between forgiving someone and having a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. So, for example, there's this guy named David and this other guy named Saul in the Bible. And David is the king that God chose, and Saul was the king, so he wanted to obviously maintain his power. So he's running all over the Engedi away from this guy, and he catches him slipping. Mm-hmm. He caught him lacking. So he caught him slipping. So he rolled up on him, and basically they had a conversation. And David goes, "Look, bro, I could have killed you, but I didn't, because you know whatever. Mm-hmm. Why are you trying to kill me?" Mm-hmm. And the dude's like, "Yo, my bad." And then Saul says, "Oh, David, you were right and I was wrong. Please forgive me." So David's like, "Yeah, whatever, bro, we good." And then he goes, "All right, cool. Now come back to Israel with me." And Dave was like, "Nah, bro. Nah, we good." Why? Because like that was like the fifth time. Like Saul throwing a spear at him, he done all the rest of it. So like you don't have to have a relationship with people after you forgive them. Mm-hmm. You could just say, I'm never gonna speak to you again. But I don't have anything bad for you, and I hope you win in life. But it's just not gonna, me and you. And there's people that are like that. Like I want to see them win. I'm happy if they win. I'm rooting for them. But them and I are never gonna relate again. Like, period. But so that's kind of how I balance it. Now, granted, I think that those should be extremely rare, depending on what type of relationship you have. So I'm not saying like, oh, the minute somebody crosses you, like you never speak to them again. Like that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we all know the people who constantly take advantage of us over and over again and constantly take advantage of kindness. And to a
Yeah.
degree, people can die over this shit because, you know, that's one of the reasons why a lot of women end up dying is they forgive the guy and they confuse forgiveness with,
Yeah.
oh, that doesn't change the relationship status. Oh no. There are times when the relationship status absolutely is going to change. So you just have to keep that in mind. You know?
I don't know, maybe you've really forgiven someone when you can leave that situation. Like some people, maybe they're so deep into the way that the abuse was that it kind of clouds their mind to actually how bad the person was, and so they never really need to forgive the person because they don't really focus on how bad the situation is. And so maybe when they actually come to terms with it and they say, I forgive you, but I'm leaving, that's maybe more evidence that you really have like grown and you're moving forward.
I agree. Or you can take the Ben Webb approach, which is the minute someone crosses you, poke out their eye. If they cross you again, poke out their other eye. They'll never cross you again after that. So there's that. What do you give the song?
There's that too. You go first.
This was a instrumentally speaking, this was a I love the heaviness. I'm an easy person to please when it comes to heaviness, so long as you don't just ride one riff for the entire song, which they did. So I love the heavy. I love the lyrical content because it's been a while since I've seen that level of invective in a song. And I enjoy that from time to time, in spite of all of my Sermon on the Mountness. So, like, I really like that. Lyrically, I thought it was a unique song lyrically. This is a song where it leaves me wondering what happened to the guy. Did he ever recover?
Yeah.
Did he ever get
What
better?
happened to both of them?
What happened to the family?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like it was probably apparent because he talked about the disapproving glare, which, you know, usually is something for an overbearing dad. So it sounds like that's what's going on. So I would like, it would be really, really
Yeah, but it also
interesting.
could be a relationship because I was gone before you ever had a chance, lost forever in your disapproving glance. Like it could be like a relationship that was good and then like one of them started getting into drugs and became like addicted. And so then you just really start resenting that person because they're not the person you married.
Yeah. I mean, it says my hands around your throat. I mean, well, who knows? Love and war. Who knows? But it says I'm the king of nothing, though. That sounds to me like he's probably talking about his dad, or
Yeah.
or maybe a
that's true.
stepdad. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. What do you give it?
9.2.
9.2. You enjoyed the song more than me. Unfortunately, we have reached the end, my friends. Shout out to everybody at the Fire Stream. Shout out to
DJ Mike.
Shout out to DJ Mike. Bringing us, man.
This has been a fun ride.
We're like batting 1,000 with
So
these,
interesting how
with
each
these fire-
stream
with
has
these-
a personality.
these
I
fire
love it.
streams. Yeah.
What will it be?
You guys are definitely going to get more content. Yep, we did have a situation with Spectrum. It fell twice, so this is the third installment. But we're gonna keep grinding, and if you get a night, we're gonna do the night, man. We're gonna grind. We are going to see you guys later. Shout out to Mexico. Greetings, Rafi Alexander. Ben's got a birthday in 4 days. This is gonna be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see if we can get Sori to everybody message us on the Village page. For Web Week.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
What did you say? Sori out. Why did you say Vin out, you weirdo?
Because I wanted you to do it.
All right. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.